Hello, and welcome to American English Daily. Today, you are going to learn essential English phrases that people actually use in daily life. These expressions are simple, natural, and easy to apply in real conversations. Instead of focusing on complicated grammar, you will hear how English is spoken in a relaxed and natural way. As you listen, try to follow the rhythm and understand the meaning in context. When you meet someone for the first time or see a friend during the day, a very common expression is, "How's it going?" This phrase is used everywhere, and it sounds more natural than formal greetings. People often use it in casual situations, especially with friends or colleagues. A typical response could be, "I'm doing great," which shows a positive mood. Sometimes people say they feel a little tired or busy, depending on their situation. This kind of exchange helps start a conversation in a friendly and relaxed way. Another useful phrase is, "What are you up to?" This question is often used when you want to know what someone is doing at the moment. It sounds natural and conversational, especially in informal situations. A simple reply might be, "Not much, just relaxing," which is commonly used when nothing special is happening. Even when you are busy, you might still answer in a casual way to keep the conversation comfortable. In everyday conversations, agreement is very important. When you want to show that you agree with someone's idea, you can say, "Sounds good." This expression is short, simple, and very natural. For example, if someone suggests meeting later, you can respond with this phrase to show that you like the idea. It keeps the conversation smooth and positive. Sometimes, people explain something, and you want to show that you understand. In that case, you can say, "That makes sense." This phrase is very useful because it shows both understanding and agreement. Another similar expression is, "I get it," which is even more casual. It is often used in friendly conversations when something becomes clear. In situations where someone apologizes, a common response is, "No worries." This phrase is widely used in everyday English and sounds very natural. It helps create a relaxed and friendly atmosphere. For example, if someone says they are late, you can reply with this expression to show that it is not a problem. It makes the interaction feel easy and comfortable. When you want to encourage someone not to rush, you can say, "Take your time." This phrase is very useful in many situations. It shows patience and understanding. People often use it when waiting for someone to finish something or make a decision. It creates a calm and supportive tone in the conversation. There are moments when you need a little time to think before answering. Instead of staying silent, you can say, "Let me think." This expression gives you time and keeps the conversation natural. It also shows that you are engaged and considering your response. This is a very common habit among fluent speakers. Now imagine a simple conversation using these expressions. You meet a friend in the afternoon. You greet each other in a relaxed way and ask how things are going. The conversation continues naturally, with questions about daily activities and simple responses. There is no pressure to be perfect, only a focus on communication. As the conversation develops, you notice something important. The sentences are not complicated. The words are not difficult. But the flow feels natural. This is the key to speaking English well. It is not about using advanced vocabulary. It is about using simple language effectively. When you practice these phrases regularly, they become familiar. You no longer need to think too much before speaking. Your responses become faster and more natural. Now let's continue with more useful expressions. When you want to ask for clarification, you can say, "What do you mean?" This helps you understand better without stopping the conversation. If you didn't hear something clearly, you might say, "Can you repeat that?" This is polite and very common in daily communication. In situations where you want to check information, you can use the phrase, "Are you sure?" It shows curiosity and helps confirm details. Another helpful expression is, "That's interesting." This phrase keeps the conversation going and shows that you are paying attention. When reacting to good news, you can say, "That's great to hear." This creates a positive connection between speakers. If something surprises you, you might respond with, "Really?" This simple word can express curiosity and emotion at the same time. Now think about how these phrases connect in real conversations. People do not speak in isolated sentences. They connect ideas naturally. For example, someone might share a story. You respond with interest. You ask a question. Then the conversation continues. This flow is what makes communication feel natural. As you listen and practice, your brain begins to recognize patterns. You start to understand how English is used in real life. Over time, you will notice that you don't need to translate. You begin to think directly in English. This is an important step toward fluency. Instead of focusing on individual words, focus on complete phrases. This helps you speak more smoothly and naturally. As your confidence grows, you will feel more comfortable in conversations. You will express your thoughts more clearly. And most importantly, you will enjoy the process. Learning a language is not just about studying. It is about using what you learn. Every time you speak, you improve. Every time you listen, you learn something new. Keep practicing. Stay consistent. And allow yourself to grow step by step. As you move forward, you will notice that real conversations are not about isolated sentences. They are about connection, reaction, and flow. In many situations, you need to respond naturally without thinking too much. That is why learning phrases is much more effective than memorizing single words. When someone tells you something unexpected, a very natural reaction is to say, "No way." This expression shows surprise in a simple and authentic way. People often use it when they hear something interesting or hard to believe. It helps create emotion in the conversation. Another useful phrase is, "I see what you mean." This expression is slightly more thoughtful and shows deeper understanding. It is often used when someone explains an idea and you want to acknowledge it clearly. It also helps keep the conversation smooth and respectful. When you want to express uncertainty, you can say, "I'm not sure." This phrase is very common and sounds natural in almost every situation. Instead of staying silent, you can use it to stay engaged in the conversation. It shows honesty and openness. There are moments when you want to suggest something. A simple and effective way to do that is by saying, "Why don't we?" For example, you might suggest meeting somewhere or trying something new. This phrase sounds friendly and inviting. When agreeing with an idea strongly, you can say, "That's a great idea." It adds enthusiasm and positive energy to the conversation. People often respond better when they feel their ideas are appreciated. Now consider situations where plans change. Instead of reacting negatively, you can say, "It's not a big deal." This expression helps reduce tension and keeps the mood relaxed. In conversations, you will often need to transition between ideas. A useful phrase for this is, "By the way." It allows you to introduce a new topic naturally, without making the conversation feel abrupt. Now imagine a longer conversation. You are meeting a friend after a busy day. You sit down and begin talking. "Hey, how's it going lately?" I've been quite busy, but I'm managing everything step by step. That sounds challenging. Yeah, but it's not a big deal. I'm getting used to it. By the way, have you finished your project? Not yet. I'm still working on a few details. I see what you mean. Sometimes it takes longer than expected. Why don't we take a short break later and grab some coffee? That's a great idea. I could really use a break. As the conversation continues, you notice something important. The phrases are simple, but the communication feels natural and smooth. This is what you should focus on. Not complicated grammar, but natural expression. Now let's go deeper into another situation. Imagine you are talking with a colleague about work. The discussion becomes more detailed. You need to express opinions and react thoughtfully. If you agree partially, you might say, "That's true, but." This phrase helps you introduce a different perspective without sounding negative. When something is difficult, you can say, "It's a bit tricky." This sounds more natural than saying something is very hard. If you want to encourage someone, you can say, "You'll get the hang of it." This means they will understand and improve with time. Now let's bring these phrases into a natural flow. This task seems a bit tricky at first. Yeah, but I think you'll get the hang of it soon. That's true, but it still requires some practice. In this kind of conversation, you are not just exchanging information. You are building understanding. And that is what communication is really about. Now think about another daily situation. You are making plans for the weekend. Instead of asking directly, you might say, "Do you feel like?" This sounds softer and more natural. For example, you could suggest an activity in a relaxed way. It makes the conversation more comfortable. If you want to delay something, you can say, "Let's do it later." This is simple, polite, and commonly used. If something sounds interesting, you might respond with, "That sounds interesting." It keeps the conversation going and shows engagement. Now imagine a weekend conversation. "Do you feel like going out this weekend?" "That sounds interesting, but I might be a bit busy." "No problem. We can do it later." Notice how natural and flexible the conversation feels. There is no pressure. No complicated structure. Just simple, effective communication. Now let's focus on how conversations develop over time. At first, you may rely on basic phrases. But gradually, you begin to combine them. You create longer responses. You express more detailed ideas. For example, instead of giving a short answer, you might explain your thoughts more clearly. This creates a richer conversation. It allows you to connect more deeply with others. As you continue practicing, your responses become more automatic. You don't need to stop and think about every word. This is a sign of progress. Your brain is learning patterns. Your speech is becoming more natural. Now consider how important tone is in communication. The same sentence can sound different depending on how you say it. Tone can express emotion, intention, and attitude. Listening carefully helps you understand this. And shadowing helps you practice it. When you combine listening and speaking, you train both understanding and expression. This is why consistent practice is so powerful. Even short sessions can make a difference, as long as you do them regularly. Over time, everything becomes easier. You understand more. You respond faster. You feel more confident. And confidence changes the way you speak. You become more relaxed, more natural, more expressive. Now take a moment to reflect. Think about how much you have already learned. Think about how much more you can achieve. Keep going. Stay consistent. And continue building your fluency step by step. At this point, you have already been exposed to many useful expressions. Now it's time to bring everything together in a more natural and meaningful way. In real life, conversations are not always predictable. People share ideas, react emotionally, and change topics naturally. One phrase that is very useful in these situations is, to be honest. This expression allows you to share your true thoughts in a direct but polite way. It creates a sense of openness and honesty in communication. Another common phrase is, it depends. You can use it when the answer is not simple or when different factors affect your decision. When you want to express preference, you might say, I'd rather. This helps you explain what you prefer in a natural and clear way. If something is not very important, you can say, it doesn't really matter. This phrase helps reduce pressure in conversations. When you want to end a discussion politely, you can say, anyway. It allows you to transition or close a topic smoothly. Now let's move into a longer, more natural conversation. Imagine you are meeting a friend in the evening after a long day. You sit down in a quiet place and begin talking. Hey, how's everything going for you lately? To be honest, it's been a bit overwhelming, but I'm trying to manage everything. I understand, it depends on how much work you have, right? Exactly. Some days are easier, but others are quite stressful. Do you feel like taking a short break this weekend? I'd rather stay home and relax this time. That makes sense. Sometimes rest is more important. It doesn't really matter where we go, as long as we have time to recharge. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Anyway, I think things will get better soon. You've handled difficult situations before. In this conversation, notice how ideas flow naturally. There is no need for perfect sentences. The communication feels real and comfortable. Now let's take this even further. Imagine you are reflecting on your daily life. You think about your routine, your goals, and your progress. Some days feel productive. Other days feel slower. But every day contributes to your growth. You realize that learning English is similar. It is not about being perfect every day. It is about showing up consistently. When you practice regularly, even in small ways, you build a strong foundation. At first, you may struggle to find the right words. You may pause frequently. But over time, something changes. Your thoughts become clearer. Your responses become faster. Your confidence becomes stronger. You no longer feel the same hesitation. You trust your ability to communicate. Now imagine yourself in a real-life situation. You are talking to someone new. The conversation starts simply. You introduce yourself and exchange basic information. Then the discussion becomes more natural. You ask questions. You respond with interest. You share your experiences. At some point, you realize something important. You are not translating anymore. You are thinking directly in English. This is a powerful moment, because it shows real progress. Now let's explore a deeper idea. Communication is not only about language. It is about connection. When you speak clearly and naturally, you create understanding. When you listen carefully, you build trust. This is why practicing both listening and speaking is essential. As you continue your journey, you will face challenges. Some conversations will be easy. Others will be more difficult. But each experience teaches you something new. You learn how to adapt. You learn how to respond. You learn how to stay calm under pressure. These are valuable skills. not only for language learning, but for life in general. Now take a moment to reflect on your progress. Think about how much you have improved. Even if it feels small, it is real. You are understanding more. You are speaking more naturally. You are becoming more confident. And this is just the beginning. There is still more to learn, more to experience, more to achieve. But you are on the right path. Now, as we come to the end of this session, let everything settle. You don't need to remember every phrase immediately. You don't need to understand everything perfectly. Just continue practicing. Keep listening. Keep speaking. Keep improving. Fluency is not something that happens suddenly. It is built over time. With patience. With consistency. With effort. And most importantly, with the decision to keep going. Thank you for staying with this practice. Thank you for taking the time to improve yourself. Keep moving forward, and you will reach your goal. See you in the next session. Headphone.